All right.
All right, Justin Adams, Nurtureland Farms. How you doing, man?
Doing good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So just give us a quick spill on who Justin is and give us a little quick insight into Nurtureland Farms.
I'm originally from Paducah, Kentucky. I've got three kids now, married to Kate Adams. We live on a 50-acre farm. We raise grass-finished beef, pasture poultry, and forest-raised pork. So we sell it all throughout Western Kentucky.
Awesome, awesome. So what differentiates you all from, just your normal farm
So
setup?
Um, Several different things. I'd say animal welfare, we probably put that higher on the list than your conventional farms. Letting the animals kind of live in their natural state on pasture versus being confinement. Um, what the animals eat, our cows only eat grass, so they're never fed a grain mix or anything like that. So they're finished only on grass. The chickens and the pigs, they're fed a organic diet that supplements what else they can find in uh in the woods or on the pasture. So really how we raise them and the life that we give them is probably the biggest difference. And then but that leads to happy animals, and happy animals lead to healthy animals, and that leads to healthy food.
Awesome, awesome. Well, you also try to balance being farmer and teacher, right?
Yeah, that's right. So right now, the other three are supposed to be doing their homeschool work. We'll see how that's going when we get done. But yeah, so we dedicate the mornings pretty much to homeschool, and then the afternoons I can get my chores done. Um, and really, it's we dedicate this part of the year. We kind of wind the farm down, so we don't have any chickens on pasture right now. The pigs are supposed to be gone, except one are gone. So then we can dedicate more time to the kids and their school this time of year. And then when it's time to do the farming, then we can really focus on that. But homeschooling really helps us be flexible.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to talk about, how your faith kind of drives what you all do. Can you just give a spiel about that?
Yeah, so you know, I believe that this world was given to us by God, and He asked us to care for it and everything in it. Um, and so, I'm not saying that farmers that do things conventionally, they're not religious or they don't believe in God, but I think people feel more of they're supposed to take domain and control nature. Some people may believe that God told us do whatever you have to do to take care of these animals. I feel like it's more of a I've given you the tools that you need in this world. You have everything you need. Nature has everything it needs to succeed. So work with those tools. You don't need to go create herbicides and pesticides and medicines to enhance what God has created. He created everything to work. If we leave nature alone, if everybody got off this earth tomorrow, nature's still going to go on, and the world will exist, and it will probably do a pretty good job. So, if we can work with the tools that God has given us, then I just think everything works a lot better. It is a really good system, and when people get out of it, it's amazing if you take a farm that has been pushed hard and worked for 50 years, plowed and fertilized and everything like that. And if you just leave it alone for 5 years, nature fills the void. It comes back in and it does what it's supposed to do, and it will heal that land. So that's kind of my theory is I don't need to do more than what nature can do. I just need to massage nature, work within the bounds of what God has put here already, and our farm will be blessed, and the animals will be blessed, and the animals will be happy. It makes me happy to feel like I'm doing right by these animals. God said he knew, every bird. He knows when a sparrow falls. He knows how I'm treating these animals. And if I'm treating these animals in a way that I don't think God would like, then, that makes me feel ashamed. So I want to make him happy by making these animals happy, by making the land happy. It's not just the cows, it's the worms in the dirt, it's the bacteria that all goes together. So we really try to focus on nurturing everything, every part of the land, not just what's on top, but what's underneath it as well.
Yeah, yeah. So, obviously, I know your story, but just give a little bit. How did you and Kate feel led by God to end up here in Princeton, Kentucky, and doing this?
Um, so I always wanted to grow up on a farm. I don't think Kate ever had the desire to live on a farm, but she always liked being outside in nature. I know for me, that's where I feel closest to God. And so when we were newly married, she was pregnant with our first son. We're looking at houses in the suburbs. I was working a job that, basically would have paid for the daycare so that I could go to work, and then so all of that kind of hit us as we were standing in the basement of a suburb house in northern Kentucky, 2 hours away from, it was going to be a 2 hour commute. It's out by the airport. It was like, something just hit us or hit me, and I got this whole world view of my life and what it was headed towards. And it was like, this isn't where I want to be, and this isn't what I want to be doing. I don't think either of us are going to be happy if we go down this path. Um, this isn't how I don't want someone else raising my child. Not that I don't think anything bad's going to happen, but just I want him to have our principles and be raised with what we think. And so we kind of had this aha moment, like this isn't what we need to be doing. We need to step back, reevaluate. Maybe the farm is where we need to be right now, and then we can raise our kids the way we think they should be raised, and learning the things and the principles that we believe, not just what everybody else is believing. So once it was a very specific moment standing in the basement of this house. We had just gone on a tour with a realtor, and it was like something just hit us like this is not what you need to be doing. And that's happened to me a couple of other times in my life. When I lived in Iowa, there was a very distinct moment where I lost my place to live. I lost my job. I broke up with my girlfriend, and it was like just this feeling like God is telling you, you're done here. This isn't what you need to be doing anymore. I'm gonna, you know, put it on you to go find what you're supposed to be doing. And when that happens, Kate will tell you, I don't talk much. I'm quiet. I don't have many opinions. Usually I'm pretty much go with the flow. But there's been a couple times in my life where I've had a very strong feeling that what is happening right now is not what's supposed to be happening. And we need to be doing something totally different. And luckily, she's right there with me. When that happens, we go do something different. And usually it turns out for the best all of the time. It has turned out for the best. So so now we're here and we're happy, and I can't imagine doing it the other way for sure.
Awesome, man. Well, we want to talk about family. We want to talk about your business. We want to talk about God. We want to talk about UK, obviously. What was it like growing up as a Kentucky fan?
Yeah, this is the best. I miss that, I remember Rex Chapman was probably the first person I remember, so that was just cool. At that point, I didn't have any concept of Kentucky stunk or what else was going on. The coach was, cheating and everything else. I just knew Rex Chapman was the coolest. Um, and then, we get to the 90s and things were rolling. Everything was great. As I was little, I didn't think Kentucky could lose. I didn't know Kentucky, ever lost. I just assumed we go to the SEC tournament and they just hand us the trophy, and we come home, and that is the way it was. So, mid 90s was perfect for, I guess I was, 10, 11, 12, and it was awesome with Converse starter jackets, all the denim. It was just the coolest time to be a Cats fan. My grandparents would go to the SEC tournament every single year. So I can remember one year, I think it was not, it may have been 96. It could have been 95. But my granddad, he called my mom. He said, "Hey, I found three extra tickets. Y'all drive down." So we went to the Pyramid and watched the Cats play, and that was cool. So it was just the best. And everybody was a Kentucky fan. Um, of course, my biggest heartbreak, and you give me the book, and I finally got to read most of the book, and I'm toward the end now, and reading about the shot, I had to skim it. I couldn't even read, like, it just hurt me. I couldn't even read it. And I just was like, all right, flip page. All right, he hasn't hit the shot yet. Flip the page, flip the page. I can't go through that again.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the worst. Still hurts, but the years after that were the best.
Mhm.
Um, the 97 championship game, well, 96, I distinctly remember the night before the game. I went out and my dad had a workbench in our garage and I doodled like with a Sharpie UK versus Utah, national championship. And then that was a great game. 97, I remember being in Florida and we lost, and I was just like, no, no, something's wrong. There's more time on the clock. Something happened. This isn't supposed to happen. So, yeah,
Yeah.
those are
It's
my
funny.
thinking.
97, I was actually in Florida at my dad's in Tampa,
Yeah,
watching that Final Four. So, uh, and it's interesting. We're about the same age, and the first team I can remember is the Unforgettables, but I only remember pieces. Um, the first real season I remember is 93 with Travis Ford, Jamal Mashburn.
yeah,
That that's probably my favorite team, even though they didn't win it all. That was a hell of a team, and just had so many likable people on that team.
yeah. Travis Ford for sure. I always liked watching him play. And I don't even think I realized he was from Madisonville. I mean, I probably knew Madisonville, but at that age, I probably didn't even know where that was. So I knew
Mhm.
he was from Kentucky, but so that was cool. And he was a short white guy, so
Yep,
that was gave you hope as a
having
little
somebody
kid
represent
in
from
Kentucky.
Western Kentucky. Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, awesome, man. Well, how do you feel about Mark Pope in the upcoming season?
You know, I'm back to the point where there's no like I'm expecting national championships at this point. And I know he does too, so that makes me happy that he's not going to be satisfied with anything less. So that makes me feel a little less crazy. Um, I don't pay attention to the national people. I don't even think we're ranked in the top 10 in some polls, but I'm all in. I think they can do it, especially with what they got coming back. I think people are sleeping on Colin Chandler. He's going to be the way he came on at the end of last season. I don't think people are giving him credit. They're just looking at the transfer portal and Owe, him and Noah. They're not giving them the credit they deserve. So I think we're going all the way. We'll see.
Yeah, I
Especially with the
think
SEC being down this year, it's going to be not so brutal. Maybe we can get a little bit better of a seed.
yeah. I think both of those guys, they're certainly going to have their minutes. So.
Yeah.
Will be exciting to see what happens. So, Justin, appreciate you coming on and chatting, and we'll hopefully be back in touch again, do this again, and maybe
Yeah.
talk about reminisce about Kentucky championship year with Mark Pope.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome, man. Thanks for coming on.
Hey, no problem.
See ya.